Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream here on Celtics Digest. Patrick and I are back, and we're ready to break down and discuss some Boston Celtics news. In particular, some key things revolving around this team with the end of the season coming near. The Celtics have 3 games on the rest of the season. They just had their big win yesterday versus the New York Knicks in New York. Now they travel down to go to Orlando and then take on the Charlotte Hornets in a little bit of a 2 game series to end out the season. And with the Celtics, there are some question marks going into this postseason revolving around some players. We're going to be diving into all of that and more on this live stream here that we break down here on Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz with my co-host Patrick. Patrick, how you doing today? Are you excited for this Celtics game? And what are your thoughts about this Celtics team so far?
Yeah, I mean, it should be an interesting game. That's at least to say. Seems like there's a lot of players that'll be getting some rest tonight. So we'll definitely get a good idea of what the Celtics got depth wise against a solid Magic team that we could possibly see in the first round. So this matchup could definitely mean a little bit more than we may think it does. Kind of just get a quick look at them a week in advance. I mean, we'll see what happens with them in the play-in, but I mean, they're a great team. They always give the Celtics some trouble, and interesting to see what Joe Mazzulla kind of brings out today in that starting lineup.
100%. And we're going to be getting into all of that jazz and more. Can't wait to dive in. Can't wait to talk about all this type of stuff with this Celtics team. But as you guys can see from the thumbnail, the two main people in it are Joe Mazzulla and Jaylen Brown. And I think that's kind of fitting and kind of deserving on what we should be diving into first. Patrick, getting that main point out of the way here and kind of addressing what's been going on with Jaylen Brown. As we have seen over this last couple of stretch, you've made some videos on it on the channel. We've broken down and talked about it following yesterday's game, but it seems like he is going to be trying to play through this knee injury to try to get to that 65 game limit. Now, regardless how many fans feel, some people want him to try to get that limit. They feel like that he's deserving of making that All NBA team. Some people would rather him rest, sit out, wait. There's no necessary need for him to be playing these games with the Celtics being locked in to the second seed. But some people also are thinking that Jaylen Brown's ready to play on it and Jaylen Brown's willing to play on it, that it must be not as severe, or it may be too severe to deal with anything in the postseason, that he's going to have to learn around to play with this injury regardless, and that's why he's stepping up to deliver with it. So with Patrick kind of breaking down all those scenarios, what are your kind of thoughts on this Jaylen Brown injury?
Yeah, Bruce. Like I said, I think I've been a little bit more 50-50 now as today kind of arises. We kind of talked about it beforehand, and he's a little bit of a game time decision tonight. Um, the only reason why I'm 50-50 is you got
We
something?
just we just got some confirmation right now from Gary Washburn. Sorry to cut you off, Patrick,
Nice.
but Jaylen Brown is out tonight, meaning he'll
Okay.
have to play in the Celtics' final 2 games against the Charlotte Hornets to reach that 65 game plateau. But continue
All
on,
right, perfect.
Patrick.
Yeah, so this is the talk in one of my videos that the article. I really didn't see this happening, but like we talked about last night in that video, if you guys didn't see it, go check it out. Um, Jaylen Brown definitely looked a little bit uncomfortable, especially moving laterally. A lot of things that he usually does, he's kind of been limited to. So I think it kind of made more sense to sit out tonight. But also, I really don't want him playing in that last game against Charlotte either. So it's kind of a crappy situation. But there are some minutes things that can go on. It's such a confusing thing this year with the whole 65 game thing because it's more than just that. You got to play a certain amount of minutes as well. So I mean, we've seen people in the last game of the year like Mikal Bridges kind of go in and then sub out, but that can't work for Jaylen Brown. He's got to play a couple of minutes. So, I mean, the Celtics get about a week off after that last game, so maybe kind of keep him ramped up and get him a little bit used to it, and just get let him get what he deserves. Because if they really think he could get all the NBA, then he should be out there. If not, save him for that week and a half break.
100%. I agree with you. And I think this kind of change of him being sitting out these next couple, at least in tonight's game, kind of gives us a
Mhm.
little bit more of an understanding on how this injury might be feeling with Jaylen Brown. Like you mentioned, he sat out for that last second stretch in the first half of the back-to-back versus the Knicks. So maybe needing that extra rest going into tonight will be key for him. Like you mentioned, I don't really necessarily want to see every Celtics playing in that final game. There's no
Yeah,
need for
exactly.
them to really play in that final game. But if it is going to get him that milestone, like you said, if he can play those 20 minutes, even if he plays, just 7 minutes in the first quarter, then 3 minutes in the second, something like that,
Yeah.
kind of spicing up, giving him that extra needed rest, and maybe not even playing in the fourth quarter at all, and just giving him a stacked third quarter to make sure he could get that much needed rest could be key for Jaylen Brown. But like not only Jaylen Brown, there are also some key guys out tonight's game as well, Patrick, and we can kind of get into that as well because like we mentioned, Jaylen Brown been the one really dealing with the injuries, but with the Celtics locked in at this 2 seed here, there's no necessarily really need for them to really have some of these key stars being playing in tonight's contest, and that's why we're going to see a little bit of a hospital Celtics lineup, I feel like, in tonight's game,
Mhm.
as we want to look at this injury report that I'm pulling up right now, courtesy of John Corrales, amongst many other great Celtics reporters
Not that
that broke
long. It's
this
not that
down.
long.
It's not that long, but Horford out with the knee injury. Tatum out with the ankle. Derrick White out with the ankle. Porzingis out with that mystery illness once again coming through the ranks. And Holiday out with that shoulder. Jaylen Brown was questionable with that knee injury, but like I just broke down, we just saw from the update just a couple minutes ago from Gary Washburn here that Jaylen Brown will be out and from the Celtics with this right near posterior impingement. So the Celtics, without their starting five and starting six tonight in the contest versus an Orlando Magic team, one that's sitting, I believe, at the 7th spot or 8th spot in the Eastern Conference at this moment. So could be the potential first round Celtics opponent, a team that gives the Celtics a little bit of the best as well in those playoff matchups, and they're hungry for a win. Celtics looking for a record of their own, winning the most wins on the road in NBA history, which would be in a season, which would be really, really cool for the Celtics team to really accomplish once again. But when you look at these lineups without these 6 guys, who are you looking to see really stand out? And are there any surprise guys, Patrick, that you think that could really make a splash in tonight's rotation?
I think the one thing that I'm excited for is to see if Joe Mazzulla actually starts Peyton Pritchard. Like, I mean, like we waited all year, and I mean, we know he's our sixth man, but I mean, even when we've had so many injuries, he still won't start him. So, I mean, with 6 guys out, will he do it? I mean, I don't know. He might not, but I think it'll be cool for a lot of Celtics fans to get some JD Davison in today. He's been working hard. He's really done a lot in the G League, being the MVP. I'm excited to actually see him get some real minutes. Like these are some real minutes tonight. There's not a lot of guys that are going to play. I mean, we're going to probably see. I would think that we're going to have Drew Peterson in the lineup, Sam Hauser with Cornette, maybe run Demias Queta with him, run a double big. They do like running that double big with KP and Luke, and then maybe start JD and then just have Peyton Pritchard come off the bench. I mean, if they don't run the double big, then we'll see Jordan Walsh get in the starting lineup. But there's a lot of things that they can do. But I mean, it's not really a lot of active players to work with here. But I think he's going to be fun. I think to watch for it's got to be JD. That's got to be the one on my list.
Yeah, I think he's kind of one of those not surprise players, but on this Celtics team right now, out of the guys that they have, he would be the one that can make a surprise impact for this squad to potentially get him that 15th roster spot that we've all kind of alluded to that he has been deserving of this season. Unfortunately, the main Celtics did fall short to the Oceloa Magic. I don't know how you pronounce it, but they lost to them in the
Mac
conference.
McClung, man, Mac
Yes,
McClung.
Mac McClung was just absolutely crazy. They lost to them in the, I believe, what was it, the conference finals, the right before the
Yeah,
finals
the
there. So
final, yeah.
so the Celtics one step shorter than last year in those G League playoffs, but still nonetheless a very, very dominant season from JD Davidson, where he was the MVP of the G League this year. And I think he's well on deserving of being that Celtics 15th and final roster spot. And who knows? In a game versus the Magic, a team that he just lost to in the G League, he could look to make some waves and get some revenge versus their actual squad. And I think that could definitely wreak some havoc. There's also some other key guys to mention on the Celtics team that I think could get some big playing time. You mentioned Jordan Walsh. He's been a guy that a lot of Celtics fans have been keeping their eye on these rotations, specifically when they are shortened, to see how long his leash can be unleashed in these contests. Same thing with Baylor Shireman, as he's seen the rising through that bench over this second half of the season with those guys shooting and dealing with some injuries and having some shooting struggles. He's been very effective as a playmaker, but not only but also as a scorer for the Celtics team. So I think he can make some impacts. And you can't forget also Torrey Craig and Xavier Tillman. Those two guys,
Oh,
man.
wait, what about the Oregon boys? The Oregon boys might be getting out there playing some
Oh,
good
yes,
again.
I forgot. I forgot. We could have a little Peyton Pritchard and Miles duo running out there having a good time. The little Oregon we can call them what? The Green Bloods instead of the Blue Bloods, the Green Bloods out there running in a little duo. Maybe he can get some connections with Miles like
Yeah.
he was with Sam Hauser, but I want to see that lineup. I think Luke, Sam, and I will be the two staples. I think you could argue will we see Peyton Pritchard start? I think we will, just because the shortened of the
Yeah.
lineup. I think that we will see him. But Peyton, Hauser, Luke, I think are the three guaranteed starters. Maybe Craig, maybe Shireman, maybe Jordan Walsh, maybe Xavier Tillman, even Kata, like you said, like the double big. Those are some names to keep an eye on out for this Celtics team as they gear up for that. And like we mentioned, no Jaylen Brown, no Jayson Tatum, no Al Horford, none of these starters. So going to be a very riveting game to see who can be that blossoming star, I guess, for the Celtics.
I I mean, it does sound like a pretty sucky game when you think about it, but I think that games like these are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about games like this happening, and we kind of get something that we don't get to see all season long. It's that's one of these guys gets to go off. I mean, I love seeing Peyton Pritchard go crazy. I mean, I will watch that game all day. But I mean, seeing guys like Baylor Shireman go off, I would love to see that kind of ramping up for playoffs, just to kind of put like his stamp on being in that rotation. If guys get into foul trouble, can Joe Mazzulla kind of rely on a guy like him to come in and play some gritty defense and hit some tough shots for the Celtics, create some good spacing for other guys? So I think, especially with Jaylen Brown being out and not kind of being himself, this is the perfect opportunity for a lot of guys like him and Sam Hauser, even, who's been shooting incredible in the second half of the season, just to really show that they could step up and play some very important basketball, because I think they're really going to need it with Jaylen Brown. I mean, it was really rough watching him last night. I was pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest for a great performance for Jaylen Brown last night,
Mhm.
seeming to kind of struggle finding his groove in with this team. And we mentioned, the lateral movement with him as well, not being, as up to speed as we would usually see with Jaylen Brown. But dealing with these injuries, like you mentioned, hopefully these other stars can really come through and can be that packing punch for the Celtics. And hopefully this injury isn't too lingering into the playoffs, doesn't hinder that, as we mentioned, because being healthy and staying healthy is, the main Celtics
Mhm.
identity in this playoff push as they kind of get closer with these games here down the stretch. But Patrick, we obviously talked about this Celtics team and we've kind of looked at the game tonight. But with that being said, there's also some looking to do in the future with this Celtics team, because after this Orlando Magic game, there's only two more games left on this season, and that's getting very, very close towards the end here with the Celtics. They obviously are locked in at that second seed right here. They can't move up, they can't move down, but other teams can. I believe you said the Knicks and the Pacers can switch between 3 and 4, and I believe the Magic, or not the Magic, excuse me, the Bucks and the Pistons, excuse me, can switch between 5 and 6, and then obviously the
Well, the
7 through.
Bucks can also get to the 4 still, I
Oh,
believe.
okay, so
Yeah,
they can move up as well. So,
because they won last night, so that definitely helped. They had that 24-point comeback,
mhm.
I believe it was, so that definitely helped them out. But they can make it up to the 4 as well.
Okay, so there's a lot of teams, a lot of movement that can happen. Obviously, the Celtics, there's no movement within their team, but with other franchises, there can be some movement. And for the Celtics, kind of waiting to see who they're going to play, they obviously have a little bit of an easier slate with Charlotte coming to town here for these next couple games. Charlotte not being involved in that play-in mix towards the bottom here, may even rest some guys for this later slate of games as well. When you see the Celtics going up against Charlotte, obviously, we know Jaylen Brown is out tonight. We know he might need to play in those two games. We know he needs to play in those two games to kind of go. Do you expect him to get a lot of minutes? What are your kind of thoughts on that? And what are your expectations for these two games as well?
I think these 2 games should definitely just be used as they always are, just to kind of get guys some rest and just figure out what you got. I mean, kind of let guys that don't get the opportunity to play much to play. But I think it would be good to kind of let the usual guys kind of get in there for a little bit and then sub in some guys down the line so nobody's getting injured. Just kind of keep guys in the groove. You don't want them to sit for too long and get cold and go into that playoff game like just ice cold. You don't want to get out of your groove. The Celtics are in a fantastic groove right now, so you don't want to ruin any of that. But that's why it's so difficult with the whole Jaylen Brown situation. You really want to see him win, but at the same time, I don't want to see him hurt and struggling down the line either.
Yeah, I don't want to see him also, I think, like re-injure himself or re-aggravate his
Oh,
injury.
yep.
You know what I mean? While he's playing through this, I think that would kind of be the worst case scenario for the Celtics fans to have one of their star players playing through an injury, trying to work through it so that he can, I guess, kind of figure out how he's going to succeed with dealing with this injury, and then ultimately hindering himself more, hindering the Celtics' chances even more by hurting himself in the long run, and that would hinder their chances in the playoffs and stuff like that. One funny thing when looking at this is I know it's a weekend, I know it's the end of the season, but tickets as low as $106 and $112 to see the Charlotte Hornets
As
on
low.
the last two games. As low, exactly, as low. Low? Who's buying these tickets? Who's going to see Jason? Who's going to see the end of the season? I mean, unless you're like the biggest Baylor Sharon man fan or Jordan Walsh or Drew Peterson, you want to see them really play. But $100 to go see Drew Peterson play?
Sounds like I might be free Friday and Sunday.
Maybe some people are going to be trying to sell these tickets because I don't expect many of the Celtics to be playing in these last couple of games. Like we said, even going into tonight, with they're obviously in the back to back and stuff, so it makes a little bit more sense after them just getting a big time win. But these final two games versus Charlotte don't really matter, not going to affect us as a whole. And kind of looking at our opponents as well, I mean, the Celtics, I think, would rather play some other teams. I don't think they'd want to
Right.
play Orlando. I don't think they'd want to play Miami. I think they would rather play either Atlanta or Chicago in this play-in scenario. But I don't think they're gonna throw away a game to let them win or something like that.
Mm.
To
Yeah,
really
I think
affect
that
it.
the Celtics are in a great spot with that second seed. That 4-5 range can get a little bit weird, especially I mean, we see what the Celtics have done against the Knicks all season long. And if the Knicks have to go against the Pistons and then you're looking at a little Bucks Pacers kind of 4-5, then that's kind of giving the Cavs some trouble too. I mean, you still got to go up against Giannis. I mean, the Pacers, we know what they did last year. I don't really see them doing it again, but they've been playing well. But I mean, the Pistons against the Knicks, I mean, that's an interesting matchup. The Knicks could easily lose that, and then the Celtics end up playing the Pistons, and then here we are for the Cavs. I mean, you can only assume, but I mean, the Cavs going up against Giannis would be interesting too. I mean, I really think that we're sitting pretty here.
I agree. I'm really hoping that we get a Pacers Bucks playoff series. Not for the fact
Be
that
real good.
that it would be a really great series, a revenge series from last year with them hopefully being fully healthy. But I want both of those teams to play against Cleveland because I think that they match up decently against us, but they could also match up very well against Cleveland. And I'd
Mhm.
rather the Central Division teams. I know Detroit obviously would potentially play us, but those like the teams that have been in the Central Division have been fighting in the playoffs for the last couple of years go through each other. You know what I mean? Similar to
Yep.
how in the Atlantic Division we've seen the Celtics and the Raptors and the Sixers kind of be dominant, and the Celtics have to go through that tree. I think that would be good for the Boston Celtics and their playoff hopes because it makes it a
Mhm.
little bit easier, but also lets them beat up and beat down on each other with that division rivalry and all that stuff and all that anger from the season. And then whoever comes out of that is a little bit weakened maybe going up against a Celtics team.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the Pistons got a guy like Beef Stew. I mean, he's always on the ground looking for some fights. So, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it that guys are going to be banged up in those series. But like I said, man, I mean, the Celtics are in a good spot. They just got to continue to play good basketball and not play down to their competition. That's the one thing that always worries me with the Celtics is playing down to their competition. But I mean, especially on the road, they're not letting that happen. I mean, they've been incredible on the road. But at home is where I always get worried with the Celtics. I mean, you can only always get worried regardless of how confident you are in the Celtics team. They tend to surprise me all the time. But I mean, just come playoff time, I think that they're ready. I think they're kind of excited and ready to go and get things going. But I mean, like I said, a preview tonight. The Magic are going to be playing to really lock in that 7, so
Yep.
that they're hoping to get that top seed. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they'd rather play Cleveland. I mean, I don't know why, but sometimes maybe they botched the game for a reason. but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna happen, but no, it'll definitely be good for the Celtics to really get some game planning in tonight and get some different looks.
Exactly, and I think tonight as well is a good game for these kind of young guys as well. We tend to mention that the Celtics have that stay ready group, and this is going to be a big game for that stay ready group to
Oh
really
yeah.
show to Joe Mazzulla what they can bring and what they can give out for the playoffs. Because we saw last year as well, some of those guys on that stay ready group, the Sam Hausers, the Peyton Pritchards, the Luke Cornets, even Xavier Tillman and O'Shea Brissett, some of those guys towards the bottom had some big key moments. Xavier Tillman hitting that big three versus Dallas, O'Shea Brissett having that good series versus Indiana and stuff like that. I think guys like Jordan Walsh, Torrey Craig, Namus Keita can have those similar type of impacts from that, and maybe a game like this and some games with Charlotte kind of sparks that up for them to kind of get into that rhythm as well going at the end of the season, which could also be key for the Celtics.
Yeah. I mean, look, Bruce. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on here for this Boston Celtics team in the next days. I mean, I'm really just kind of I'm more like kind of locked in on playoffs at this point with this team.
Mm-hmm.
To be completely honest with you, but I mean these next few games, I just can't get it off my mind of what they're gonna do. Just with the lineups, I know we talked about it already, but I kind of wanted to touch on it again, just because I'm just like I'm just curious because you're. It's not like we're playing a fantastic team to end the two last games of the season, right? So, do you would you prefer the Celtics to play some guys like in that second to last game at least? I mean, or would you rather them just kind of sit and just wait for playoffs? Like, what do you think? You never really got to touch on that.
So I think that the Celtics should have some of those guys play in that second to last game. I think not going in with cold feet is good. I think maybe the last game they should be sitting out. I don't necessarily think they need to be playing in that last contest, but in that first game versus Charlotte on Friday night, I would expect them to play, even if it is sporadic minutes. Like you tell them, go out there, play 20-25, and then we'll pull you at the end regardless, win or lose. We don't really care. I think that's still good and still sets the mentality for the fans like, hey, we got to see the players. The Celtics didn't really cheap out, and it still allows them to play. Now, if it's a close game and they want to stay in, obviously let them stay, let them
Mhm.
compete. We all know Joe wants to win regardless, and I think tonight we're going to see that as well. I think a lot of people looking at this game maybe chalk it up as a loss already with the people being out, but I think that
Wouldn't I wouldn't.
exactly. I think this is going to be the surprise game where the Celtics really lock in and truly show to Orlando like, hey, even with our role players, even with our bench guys, we can still be a competent team. Even if they do lose the game, it will still be a close one in which they will be fighting for their lives. But I think that they should be playing in Friday's game, but necessarily not Sunday.
I mean, you see me smiling because you know exactly what I'm going to say. They win tonight and then lose on Friday. Is that what we're
Yep.
thinking?
Yep.
And it happens all the time. But yeah, I mean, I agree, man. I would like to see them kind of get out there and if they're needed, they're needed. But just kind of get them start getting that groove again because my whole talking point, especially for the past couple months, is just kind of just getting guys back into a groove and like just having that connection together because they really all haven't been on the court that much together. Everyone's been out
Hmm.
here and there, and that matters. I mean,
Yes.
regardless of how friendly you could be, I mean, compared to last year, I mean, it's a new year too. I mean, but everything has just been so sporadic. Talked about the 30 different starting lineups, tonight being 31, whatever it may be. I keep trying to check to see if they drop it yet, but they haven't. But I mean, again, man, this team just needs to get that connection, and I think kind of getting that soon is really important, especially with playoffs coming soon. I mean, whoever it is that they end up playing, let's just say the Magic for now. Um, Tough matchup, so they got to be ready.
Yeah, 100%. I think you mentioning them kind of being all together is key as well. You
Yeah,
like they've had some consistency with this team, but there's been, weeks where we sometimes don't see
broken
the five starting
consistency.
five all play. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's the tough part within this squad and within the injuries is that you've just seen injuries just coming through here and there sporadically throughout this season, not really as compared to as last year where they were, more intact for what they say. But I do think that with that being said, that week beforehand, they're going to, but with the play-in, they're going to work a crap ton on this chemistry and really gelling together and really finiting the potential that this team can really bring out for the playoffs, even against Orlando Magic team. Because you mentioned, right, like at this point, with these three last games and everyone being close, it's not like a concrete answer. We're not really going to know who's going to be locked in into that play-in spot at that moment. But by Sunday, we will see who is locked into those spots, and we can kind of have a little bit of an easier response because with us being the second seed, we know who we're going to play. And after the first game, it's not like we have to really like gauge between the four teams, which is a little bit easier. So at least it will be a little easier of a 50-50 gamble to figure out. And I'm hoping the Bulls or the Hawks are one of those teams.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, also, I mean, I don't wanna like like my friends that are Knicks fans, I mean, seeing Trae Young and him cook them, I mean, I would not want that to happen to us, to be honest. So, I would love the Bulls. I'll
Yes,
take the
yes.
Bulls.
I'll take
Maybe
the
the
Bulls.
Heat, I don't care, like, the Heat, I don't even wanna touch them because I don't wanna deal with that all over again either. But
Yeah.
actually, no, we can't, that's impossible. They can only get the 8.
Oh,
They
the
can
Heat
only
can only get the 8?
they could only get the 8 because they have to play that 10-9, and then it would be if they won the 10-9, it would be the loser of that 7-8, and then they play
Mm-hmm.
for 8. So that wouldn't happen. All right, I'm already
Okay.
putting something in my head that I don't even wanna don't even wanna worry about it. They don't have the Martin twin, they don't got all those guys anymore. I don't have to worry about some random giving us 50. Um, but yeah, man, I'm curious to see what they do with Jaylen Brown. Hopefully, he'll kinda get some rest, maybe get those pool workouts that he was doing in the offseason. Kinda keep some weight off that knee. I mean, that would be great to kinda just stay away from basketball a little bit and kinda just work on it, getting some of that weight off him. That's why I mean, it's funny bringing up the pool thing, but just kinda keeping a lot of weight off of it and just kinda working it out that way. I mean, they're smarter than me, but I mean, just something that came up in my head. But I mean, I would definitely love for him to get closer to 100%. I'd say he's about like what 60 to 70 right now. If before playoffs, I would love for him to be at about 85.
Yeah, I think you hit that right on the nail right there. He's at 60, 65. We could kind of see that last night. I'd like him to be
Mhm.
at least 85, around 80% to be good to go for this playoffs. And I think kind of taking that extra rest with that play-in break, but also right now as well will be key. We saw him get those couple of games off versus like Utah and stuff as well just a couple weeks ago. So this little minute breaking uppage of his gameplay and kind of stagnating it, I think will be key for him to recover. But who knows? Maybe he knows he can play through it. He can kind of muscle his way through this for these last couple games, and his mind matter over the mentality and with his mentality will power him through to be able to focus through. But Patrick, this was a fantastic stream. We broke down Jaylen Brown, went over his little bit of an injury update. He is out tonight. Me and Patrick kind of want him to sit out, also want him to play to get that 65, but would rather him be, safe and ready to go. So I'm a little bit happier that he is out tonight. I think you as well over these last couple of games. We're hoping for that as well. So even if he is going to be risking it to be playing at the end of the season, at least he's getting that guaranteed rest tonight. But this was an absolute fantastic stream. We looked at that, looked at the preview with the Celtics going into the playoffs. And next week, Patrick and I will be live going over the potential playoff matchups that we could see this Celtics team going into and really looking at all four of those teams in the play-in, the Magic, the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Heat, and really addressing what key strengths and weaknesses matter for the Celtics in each of those matchups, kind of going over predictions and giving all of that jazz for you guys on that episode. So if you guys do enjoy the content, do enjoy the Celtics stuff that we bring, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the stream, and Patrick and I got those videos coming out for you guys as well. So if you want to stay up to date on everything revolving around this team, this is the place for you. We'll catch you guys in the next video and stream. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics.